I see the surgeon's face coming back, and he said, look, unfortunately, it's all his pancreas. We just handed him over in their trust, and didn't know whether to see him or not again. Met him at the stairs, and he's a stern face. I shook him. Is he alive? Is he alive?
This week on Garry Talks, I'm joined by Alan Kerins, former All-Ireland winner, social entrepreneur, and founder of Warriors for Humanity. Alan has dedicated his life to high performance with purpose, both on and off the field. We dive into his journey from elite sport to global impact, the importance of mindset and family, and how he's now empowering others to lead with heart, integrity, and service. This one's full of wisdom and inspiration. Enjoy.
And 2 weeks later, I was named in the team, and 3 or 4 months later, we went on and won the All-Ireland.
That's mad.
Yeah, it was a mad story.
Do you think hurling is more skilled a sport than football?
This is a GK Media podcast.
This podcast is part of the GK Media Studios Creators Network, helping people tell their stories. Become a storyteller today and learn about our podcaster network at gkmediastudios.com.
Alan Kerins, welcome along to Garry Talks.
Thanks, Gary. Good to be here.
Delighted to have you in studio. I was doing my research, and there is so much about you, from starting out in GAA, playing both codes, hurling and football, which is a very unique thing for those who don't know their GAA. But then, working in financial services and all the charity work that you've been doing and so on. I think the simplest thing is, in your words, looking back now, how would you describe Alan Kerins?
Ooh, I don't know. I've never been asked that question, so it is a good question to reflect back on. I suppose I've always loved variety, and probably to my detriment, at times, because you can lose focus and get distracted in other things. But I suppose I was best known probably for my sporting career, and then for the work in Africa. I was a physiotherapist first in the hospitals and worked there. Then volunteered to go to Africa and set up my own charity as a result of the unbelievable generosity of the Irish people and the Galway people in particular. And I just went first. I never expected to set up a charity. And then I suppose during COVID, and then my first little boy was very sick. So, and I suppose the need to have some financial security, I set up my own company where I work with corporates now in terms of leadership and team development and supporting their people and their teams. And I still do the charity work where we merged with Self Help Africa and now Warriors for Humanity. So, yeah, I probably have always had 3 or 4 things going on in my life. At any given time, I probably need to be doing stuff, need to be active, I need to be busy. But maybe that can come to your detriment as well at times when you're probably not given one thing, everything, And,
but you're a well-connected man now. I mean, everyone knows you. It's a great position to be in.
Yeah. Well, luckily, I suppose I've been fortunate to cross paths with many, many great people. And I suppose one of my coaches and one of my mentors always says, relationships are critical, and leadership is a relationship through which you influence the actions and behaviours of others, and people by people. And he really encouraged me to really invest some time and energy into, I suppose, developing first, nurturing and maintaining second, key stakeholder relationships and friendships, and, go the extra mile for people, and they'll always go the extra mile for you.
Yeah.
Or look after people and they will look after you, or look after your donors or they will look after you. And I suppose I'm a big believer in really, focusing on that relationship piece, because people buy people.
Yeah, 100%.
People support people, people work for people. And if you don't have any relationships, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah. You grew up in Clarenbridge.
Yes.
Which would be very much a hurling town.
Yes, all hurling, football. Back in the day, I grew up in the early 80s and early 90s, I suppose, as a youngster in Clarenbridge, in Mourns of the Weir. Beautiful location, right on the river. And with great freedom back then. We used to fish every morning before we go to school.
Wow.
We did B&B, so I suppose we got exposed to
so that kind of work ethic was probably built into it.
Oh yeah, we had a huge work ethic, and we were made, weed the gardens and serve the breakfast in the morning and serve the dinner and clean the toilets and clean the showers and make the beds every morning and for the guests. And also then I suppose you had to entertain people, and you learned a lot of interpersonal skills, I suppose. And we used to do a lot of music and dance in schools. We used to have to dance and play for them. And then a lot of famous people came in Stables because Mourns of the Way were so close to us.
Go on, name drop.
So yeah, Jack Charlton, obviously Stables.
Oh, wow.
Most people know that. Maureen O'Hara did once, I think, and Ollie Campbell and a few more kind of people like that. But Jack was the big one. He used to come every year then and became a very close family friend.
Oh, and would that have been around the time of the famous era of the Republic of Ireland?
He came first in 88.
Just the Euros.
He came Euros, and he loved fishing. He loved having a pint. He loved music. He loved sport. So we fitted in kind of, and he loved kind of the privacy, and we had a small bungalow. He came, and Willie Moran lives next door to us. Who owns Moran's the Weir, and Jack was looking for a place one night. And he said, my dad is Monty. He loves fishing. He loves entertaining people. They have a lovely little guest house, so you should stay there. And he did, and he became a family friend and came every year for weeks and weeks. Wow. And right through his fame, he used to drop us to primary school.
That's
yeah, it was mad. Probably one of we used to think we were the bee's knees. Charlton dropping us to primary school. And
because I remember Galway in 1990 when Ireland had just beaten Romania in the penalties, and we were living in Dengan Heights, and Dad said, come on, we'll go into town. And this city was alive, and it was the first experience I ever had in my life of this belief that Irish people now had in themselves, that we could achieve anything. We were taking on Italy in the World Cup quarterfinals. Like, this was so unbelievable. Years previous, and it was, we were always the second class citizens. We were, everyone was always doing better than us in the world, and suddenly the Irish were on the world stage, and very much led by Jack Charlton. Like, he was our Pope, our president. He was, especially for young children at the time as well, he was the pinnacle of...
He was brilliant, and he did instill that belief, and he had a no-nonsense approach, but he was very personable, very mischievous, very good personality, stern and a great leader, but was a gentleman behind it all. And I suppose he was the most famous Irishman, or non-Irishman, in Ireland at that time. And you're right, I think everyone of our age remembers exactly where they were when Dave O'Leary scored that penalty. And the celebrations were, I remember I came home from an under-12 hurling match or something like that, and we were watching a sitting room with all the team, and just went bananas and ran out playing soccer in the garden. But we knew Jack at that stage, and it made it even more special.
Because it was 1990.
So it was extra special for us in that sense, and then the Irish became famous for the unbelievable supporters and the travelling supporters, and they even enhanced the reputation of the already brilliant reputation that the Irish had abroad in terms of good fun, good banter, friendly people, and up for a good time.
I have to ask you though before we move on as well about Maureen O'Hara, because the one movie that got me in to filmmaking was The Quiet Man, which was, I think, 1952. So I remember Dad put on a movie one day, and I fell in love with the fun and mischievousness of The Quiet Man. And I watched it over and over again. I watched it about 3 times, and then Dad said, okay, come on, get in the car. And he brought me out to Kong. And I was like, wow, this is where it was shot. And I realized how reachable Hollywood was. And I had this huge fire inside me to get into the world of filmmaking and storytelling. And I remember a few years just before Maureen passed, I got her to sign a book for Dad, which he was delighted to get as a gift. But she was a huge force of nature in Hollywood. She fought for so many people, got so many rights. She was not a woman to be walked over. She really was like the character nearly that she played in The Quiet Man. What was she like in real life?
We only met her briefly, I suppose, for a couple of nights, but she was a lady. Real lady, real, serene, I suppose, and beautiful still, stunning woman. And I think she was, well into her years when she stayed with us. But I remember her for her, I suppose, her sereneness and her grace and her gentleness, and she was just very friendly and no ego. No ego. Well, that's what she portrayed in our house anyway, and. The fact that she even stayed in our house, I suppose, which is a little bungalow in the west of Ireland, in a small village like Mourns the Weir, is a testament to her, I suppose, as well. And I just got a striking impression that she was just a woman of huge integrity, first of all, and then just that sereneness and grace that you would probably see on the screen, and she just carried herself so well and was so friendly as well. A bit like Jack, they were just ordinary people who done good and never got above their station.
Interesting. Because I suppose with all the the great things that you've achieved as well, the importance of us staying grounded and not letting, like you've raised over 20 million, but not letting that go to the head.
Yeah. I suppose sometimes you just don't think about it. And I suppose one thing about Maureen, she definitely was no diva, compared to some of the modern stars. But it's important, and I suppose we're lucky in Ireland and in the GA and in local communities that if you get above your station, they'll take you down anyway. It's one of Ireland's great traits, isn't it? I think we go too far sometimes with the begrudgery, but you have good people. You surround yourself with good people, they'll keep you grounded. And I suppose raising 20 million, while it's a great achievement, it was done by not by me. It was done by so many people. Yeah. And collectively we raised 20 million, and the generosity of the Irish people will keep you grounded. The people who you're helping will keep you grounded, because you're saving lives, you're building schools, you're providing children with surgery and who will be left in the sand to die otherwise. So, that's nothing you can't get cocky about that. That's very humbling, and the people we help will always inspire you, and they teach an awful lot more. And the people's generosity is not me to do it. It's a collective effort of, the GA people, the Galway people, the Irish people, and the different philanthropists, the different foundations, the different corporates. And I suppose it's very humbling, the generosity of the Irish people. That it's well known that they're the most generous per capita, and they give the most per capita in the country in terms of overseas aid. So it's more humbling I believe most people want to make a difference, and most people want to leave a positive legacy behind, but sometimes they don't know how to. And it's all about creating an avenue for them to make it easy for them, or create a platform for them to come on board and make a positive contribution and make a positive impact. Because sometimes life gets too busy. Yeah. Things get very busy, like everyone's so busy nowadays, and it's about making it easy for people to make their own contribution and leave their own legacy, whatever way they can, and whatever way they're passionate about. Yeah, that has come into it as well. Yeah. I
want to talk to you in a while about the charity work, but I just want to jump back to when you were a kid, and I'd love to know, when you're running around in the fields with a hurling stick or a football, what direction when you were young were you hungry for in terms of success on the field?
Yeah, I suppose we knew nothing else, only hurling. Yeah. And there was no soccer club when I was in our area at the time. There was no golf. There was no football. It was all hurling. So my dad then came a big hurling background. He was a very successful club player with Ardran. He'd won 3 county titles with Ardran and was captain of Ardran when they won the last county title in 78. So he was a big hurling man. And then the school we went to was all hurling. And Michael Brown and Stephen Cohen, God rest Stephen, they were the 3 guys who coached us, and Michael Brown was the principal, and every day he coached us. So we had no other choice, I suppose, but we loved it. Yeah. And he coached us every day in school, and that's they talk about nurseries, but I think primary schools are the biggest nursery. Yeah. Because if you don't learn the skilling by the time you're 9 or 10, it's too late. Other sports you can pick up very quickly, but hurling is just too difficult. Yeah. You need to get it 5, 6, 7, 8. And I suppose I didn't take up football until I went to college when I was 23. Okay. So, yeah. So,
and is it fair to say then, not trying to throw you in the corner now, but you think hurling is more skilled a sport than football? Is that fair to say?
It's probably more technically difficult, because you have to hurl, control, hand-eye. Yeah. Ball is traveling a lot quicker. You have to kill it.
Yeah, like it's one of the fastest.
Yeah, so it is probably
ball sports in the world.
It's harder probably to learn and pick up, definitely. Yeah. So a lot of people can pick up football to a certain level older in life.
So when you're 23 and you're taking up football, were you like banished from Clarenbridge?
No, actually.
Were you a traitor?
I took it up in Trinity College because I went to Trinity from UL to study physiotherapy, and the hurling wasn't great, as in the standard of training or the standard of competition wasn't hectic. And I was playing soccer back here with Galway Town, and Galway United were interested, and I didn't fancy travelling all over the country to play soccer, because back then we'd no cars in the 90s, and but so I was playing Oscar Traynor and Galway Town soccer, playing with Kiltulla, Salthill Devon a bit, and United were expressing an interest. But to keep fit over the winter, I was living with 2 Cavan guys who were on the under 21 and minor football team for Cavan, and they were training with Trinity footballers.
And were they nuts, the 2 lads?
They were good fun. Good fun. Yeah, they were typical Cavan lads. They were good lads, and they said, "Why don't you come train with us? We have a good setup, and the training is really good. And come out and just train with us. We're going anyway from the house. I was living with them. So I went out on the winter of, 1999, I think, yeah. And I enjoyed it, and I played, and they stuck me in cornerback because I was fast and probably no skill at the time, and I did quite okay, and I made the team and played Sigerson and enjoyed it and did okay. And then I said, geez, I'm enjoying this. So I looked to join a club, and Salt Hill were the one that were they opened the doors the most and the quickest. I approached a few different clubs, but Salt Hill were the ones that expressed most interest. And I joined Salt Hill, and I didn't really play for them that year. Sorry, it was 2000 actually. I joined 2000 in Salt Hill. And then I was made captain of the Sigerson team in Trinity in my final year. And then John O'Mahony must have spotted or heard about some of the performances. And he came and watched me, and Galway lost the league final in 2001 end of April, and he asked me in. Just after that, did a few injuries as well, and I went in for a trial, and 2 weeks later I was named in the team, and 3 or 4 months later we went on and won the All-Ireland.
That's mad.
Yeah, it was a mad story. It was a mad
you
few months.
pick up the sport, in winter of 1999, and 2001, September 2001, you're on the All-Ireland winning football team in Croke Park.
Yeah, it was.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. I was lucky, and in fairness, I'd like to thank John O'Mahony. He took, God rest him, he was a brilliant man, a brilliant manager, and he's gone way too soon. And I've a lot to thank him to have the bravery, I suppose, and to take a punt on me. And he took a lot of stick, I suppose, and there's a few controversies and all that about it, but we went on to win the All-Ireland, so it was great. And then we won the All-Ireland with Salt Hill as well. So it was never did I think that I would have a Club All-Ireland football medal and then a Club All-Ireland with Galway before I'd ever win any medal with Clarenbridge or with Galway in the hurling.
What's a bigger thing, winning it with a club or winning it with the county and All-Ireland?
Winning with your club is probably like the Clarenbridge one at the end of my career was probably the sweetest because I won no hurling medal. And then we came out of nowhere to win the All-Ireland with Clarenbridge.
A lot of GA players say that, which surprised me. I would have thought the county win would have.
The club is so rare as well, and to get a Pork Joyce always say it's all about history and geography. Born in the right place at the right time.
True, yeah.
With the right group of people, and we'd done a win with Clarenbridge, and I suppose my dad had invested so much time in Clarenbridge, and my brother was playing with Clarenbridge, and then all the guys he went to school with and live locally, or all your neighbours you're playing with, and then you see what it means to the people in the village, or the sick people in the village, and the elderly people in the village. And it was in 2011 too, was during the financial crisis, so it was a massive uplift to the local village and local community, and that was a special one. Plus, it was my last game in Croke Park as a player, and I was 34 at the time, so I knew my time was coming to an end as well. So to win one that late and out of the blue and with your club and in the area you grew up, that was special.
So you were pretty busy all those years with training and all the sports and disciplines. Like, where was that drive coming from?
I don't know, to be honest with you, where that came from. I don't know. I suppose I'm looking to be blessed with probably a lot of energy, and probably a can-do attitude, and probably curious mindset, I suppose, and always seeking experiences and adventures and challenges. Probably came from home, we were always encouraged to reach for the stars and go for things and do things and play music and dance or play sport, and the sky's the limit. And the school, I was very lucky to be, they always say that, the two most formative places for children, are the most formative years are until you're 11 or 12. And the place you have most exposure there is your family home and your national school. So I was very blessed to have two very positive environments there. And then in the school, we were always encouraged to, Michael Brown and his wife Rena and Mrs. Finney, we were three-teacher school in Killeen between Kilcolgan and Crockwell. And my kids go to school there now. It's still an amazing school. And my sister-in-law teaches there. They had a huge focus on developing the human and educating the human first. So we all played music. We all had to do dancing. We all played sports. We all acted in the Christmas concert and Christmas show. We all went carol singing into this big trek in every Christmas into the shopping centre to Carlsing for goal. We all went into the community to help the elderly. And then we were educated. So there was a massive exposure. And even back then, he had computers before secondary schools had computers. We went to France on a foreign exchange before anyone went. This is in the early 90s. Or late 80s, so we were speaking a foreign language. That was miles ahead of the school, and he was a genius. They were geniuses. He did the sport and Rena did the music. Still alive. We live in Crusheen, amazing couple. But that exposure to trying so many different things and that holistic approach to education, and
exactly.
it's all about
see what grabs you.
It was all about developing.
Like, did you ever want to sing in the Eurovision or something after learning about singing and dancing?
I will tell you what, it's one thing that I couldn't do. Not that I couldn't do, but I remember we had bucket collectors and we had singers, and Michael used to, when we were rehearsing for carol singing, he used to, as we were singing, he'd drop the ear in beside our voice, right in beside us, and I got the tap on the shoulder to be a bucket collector. Even though I could play accordion and play a bit of music, but the singing wasn't my forte, you know what I mean? So that's maybe where my charity work came from, collecting money for the school and carol singing. But yeah, I got the tap on the shoulder to, you collect the money.
Talk to me about your child, because you'd mentioned your child got sick and that kind of started changing things for you.
Yeah, Ruan, he's 9 now. Great kid. Doing very well, thanks be to God. Should go up now next week for just check again on Temple Street. But we were very lucky. We got a miracle in the end. He was born on a wedding anniversary in December, 14th of December in 2015. And a week later he was just rushed to Temple Street. We spent 3 or 4 months there. He clawed his fingernails to stay alive, He'd low blood sugars. He'd a rare condition called congenital hyperinsulinemia, where his pancreas was producing way too much insulin, and he didn't respond to any of the different types of medicine that most children respond to. So he's highly, highly unstable, and it's very serious for a child to be that unstable, having low sugars, because they get bleeds in the brain. It results on, it really develops their impacts on the brain development, and he needs multiple insults where he bleeds in his brain, where we had to monitor regularly with the MRIs. So they couldn't keep his blood sugar stable. So then we eventually did a scan, and we had to go to Manchester, and we had to have surgery in Manchester. But there's 2 types of the disease. One is diffuse, where your whole pancreas is affected, and the other is focal, where there's a little lesion or tumour causing all the damage. And they did our genetics, and they said, look, it's most likely focal, which is great, because they just go in and take out the little piece, and generally you have a full recovery. They did the scan in Manchester, and I knew I could see the surgeon's face coming back, and he said, look, unfortunately it's diffuse, it's all his pancreas. So they explained all the options, and the advice was, look, go in and take out 95% of his pancreas. He will have complications later in life, he will have diabetes, and it's a massive surgery. But they said, look, we handed him, I'll never forget handing him over that day, and just saying, we just handed him over in their trust, and didn't know whether to see him or not again. And he was only 3 months or 4 months at the time, and he said, keep your phone on, keep close, and we'll call you. So they rang us halfway through and said, you got to get here quickly. And we ran up and met him at the stairs, and he had a stern face, and he said, you've got to get you in and sit you down. So I thought he was gone at that stage. I shook him. Is he alive? Is he alive? And he said, we've got to get you in. And he got us in, and I saw the SHO. She was a lovely lady from Spain. She was kind of smiling. So I said, it does not mean adding up. But then he said, I don't know, you've won the lotto. I said, what do you mean? Well, it turned out it's focal. When you opened him up, I can't believe it. It was looking in front of our face. We normally go looking for it, even though we know it's a focal lesion from the scan. We still have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
And so this was looking at us straight in the face when we opened him up. We need to take out 3 or 4%, and I don't know, you got a miracle.
Wow.
So we were lucky. So another few months there in Manchester, post-recovery, back to Temple Street for a few more weeks and months, and then home and with the monitor for a number of years, and loads of checkups, and he still has some issues with his teeth, where his teeth had a lot of them removed because they're low mineral, maybe it's more the medication or all the insulin. So I just have to monitor, keep an eye, and a few little residual things, but nothing major, and he's flying it, again. So thanks be to God, and he's a great little kid.
Wow.
And we were lucky, because if it was diffuse as in all his pancreas. That would mean it would have been genetic. So there's a chance, 1 in 2 chance, or other kids would have had the same issue. But the fact that it was a focal meant it was random. So you were free to have kids without worry. If you know what I mean.
Was he your firstborn?
It was our firstborn, yeah.
Wow,
which was lucky in a way in that we knew no different, and we both could be in Dublin for a few months, and we both could move to Manchester, and we didn't have kids at home to, one of us had to stay and look after them. So it was lucky in one way, and it was a baptism of fire.
Yeah.
Watching your first little guy go through that, and it was torture, but Tempest Street were amazing. Couldn't speak highly enough of the team in Tempest Street, and also the team in Manchester.
And what were you able to do work-wise then?
Nothing.
At this time?
I had to give up everything. And people are very good to us now, in fairness. And some of my clients were exceptional. They even flew over to Manchester. They were all like, one story, like Alan Smullen, we were staying in the Tempest Street Hospital, and we upstairs, now Ciara to Express, and had loads of different things going on, and she climbed down 7 flights of stairs, expressed the milk 3 or 4 times, and go back up just after giving birth, And we're staying in a 1-bedroom, like a jail cell with no shower, just a single bed. So I was on the floor. And then after Christmas, we got moved into this place called Hugh's House. A wonderful woman called Eddie Stack. She won the People of the Year award.
Yeah.
She's son Hugh died in Tempest Street, and she was from Dublin. She was a pharmacist. She had a number of pharmacies, but she saw the plight, I suppose, of families sleeping on corridors and chairs, and she bought and did up a house around the corner from Tempest called Hugh's House. So we got moved in there. But this is the Irish people, I suppose. How generous they are. But I'd have known Alan Smullen. He was the MD of the Croke Park Hotel, from doing the charity matches in Croke Park over the years, and he played in the match with us. And I rang Alan one day because Ciara had episiotomy. So it means, the nurse said she needed a bath, but they had no bath, just to soothe the body. And, she got, so, but they had no bath in Tempest Street. So, and I was in Hugh's house and we had no bath there. So I rang Alan Spaulding and I said, look, this is the situation. First of all, can I leave my car underground in Croke Park Hotel, because it's just 2 blocks down from Tempest Street, because it's costing us a fortune on parking. Oh, no problem at all. I said, secondly, have you room some afternoon that's free, that Ciara can go down and just have a bath, and she just badly needs a bath. He said, what? Get down here straight away, you're staying with us. And they put us up for the few months afterwards. Wow. And it was a blessing, because you just could get away of the stress and the negativity of the hospital and the illness.
Because you're surrounded with other parents.
Other parents were stressed and by getting bad news. And unfortunately, we became very good friends with a number of couples who'd lost their children. We went out to Glasnevin one day to visit the grave. When we came back from Manchester, he'd passed, and that was horrific. So we got lucky. And he's doing well now, so we got lucky. But that's just the generosity of the people. And when we had to fly to Manchester, he went over on the president's jet. We couldn't fly with him, but a friend of mine was involved in the airlines, and he said, picked us up from the hospital, brought us to the thing, drove us out onto the plane, got us picked up at Manchester, got us brought to the hospital, and arranged all that for us. Just the generosity of people are amazing, and Irish people are just brilliant that way. You know what I mean? And
it shows, like, you don't need to be a general manager in a hotel or have access to airlines, but there's something that all of us can do.
Yeah. Well, like neighbours divided who had just moved up to Dublin brought us out 2 or 3 times to their house for dinner, and just got us out of the hospital setting, and loads of different people had came in and did stuff for us. And
what year was this?
That was 2015 into 2016. Okay. And so he was born in December. We didn't get home, I think, till April or May sometime, so it was a long stint. People have a lot longer stints. Yeah. But it's still a decent stint. And
many children do you have now?
3. Yeah, we've Ben came along, and then Fia is the youngest. She just started school now, so she's just turned 5.
Okay.
Ruan is 9, and then Ben is 7, and Fia is 5. So
wonderful.
They're all good. Thanks be to God. Yeah. That's so they're good fun. Busy but good fun.
So you'd given up your work then?
Yeah.
And you were working as a physiotherapist at that stage, is it?
I was working. No, so I just merged with Self Help Africa. I was full time in the charity, and then we merged with Self Help Africa, and they were brilliant to me as well. And then I had a couple of corporate clients, and they were brilliant to me, and they just looked after me, and I'm still with them to this day as a result.
Brilliant.
Because, big believer, when people look after you when you need it, you'll always look after them, and you always stay. That's how you build loyalty in teams as well. Yeah. I think great managers look after people away from work and at work.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
And then when they do that, you'll go through a brick wall for the manager or for the client or for your partner, however it is.
Yeah.
And people often underestimate the value of going the extra mile and looking after them when they're in trouble outside of work. And all the great leaders I've worked with or work for or work in partnership with did that.
And who do you think is the greatest leader you've befriended?
Ooh, who's the greatest leader I've befriended? As in well-known or just as in...
Well, they don't have to be well-known to the public or anything, but just someone you thought, geez, that person's a great leader.
Yeah. John O'Mahony is one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, John O'Mahony.
And why?
He's just personal way. He looked after you.
Off the pitch.
Yeah, and then on the pitch, he believed in you and gave you a shot. Mark Flanagan from Kirby, group engineer. Eugene Dalton from Carboyle. Great leaders. So generous in terms of with their time, to charity, to do the right thing with their people. Genuine interest, visionaries. Looking up to Francois Pienaar in South Africa, the great South African leader. Do some work with him and his charity down there, make a difference. The famous Invictus movie, but special individual. Just good people.
Yeah.
Always do the right thing and make decisions with integrity. From my experience of them.
Yeah. So why did you give up physio? I mean, you went from UL to Trinity to become a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
And then you gave it up.
Yeah, I suppose I went to Africa, took a career break and did 3 months in Africa. Blown away by this Irish.
And how did it come that you got on a plane to Africa?
Back in 2004, I suppose I've been playing dual for 3 or 4 years and I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And then there was a lot of rows about it and there's a lot of controversies. I was didn't have any commitments at the time. I was just recently out of a long-term relationship. Hurling football was becoming a burden because I was exhausted from it. Working in the hospitals, and I suppose I needed a bit of a break from that. The constant drudge of life, I suppose. And I'd always had an interest of going to Africa.
And do you think you were at personally like a mental breaking point at that stage?
No, I don't think so. I just had enough of.
You just wanted to leave town for a while.
Yeah, I think I did. I think the hurling and football I was exhausted after it. Maybe.
And is it the training that's exhausting, or is it the expectations from the stands that's exhausting? Because it does follow you.
Yeah, no, it is, and it was. I suppose it was physical, but a lot of mental, trying to keep 2 camps happy, 2 managers happy, 2 groups of players happy, and you can't do that.
Yeah,
because you're half your time here and you're half time there, and then if you're playing and they're half time, then and some of the panel aren't. It's always going to be a bit of negativity about that, I suppose, and then you have your club managers as well. And then you're not playing for the club because you're going for the county, and then you don't want when you're back, So it was
so you're annoying everybody.
Yeah, probably was. So I was the problem anyway, definitely. And I suppose, so and then there was a lot of pressure to give up the football from the hurling. And there was huge pressure on that. I suppose I didn't want to give it up because of John O'Mahony's loyalty to me, and I was loyal to him, and he took the punt to me, and we won. Yeah. And it probably was impacting my game a good bit, trying to play the both. Because it's difficult. While it's impossible now, it was still very difficult back then. Yeah. It did impact my game, definitely. But it probably was the mental exhaustion as well of trying to please people. And then you were working in the hospitals, and so I said, well, I'm going to just explore something different here. And my dad, it's a well-known story. When people say, "Why'd you go to Africa?" I always say, he's in the news now, but back in '94 when I was only 7, I was watching the TV and Live Aid was on the television, and I saw the emaciated scenes of the people starving in those countries, and I used to hide behind the couch because I was afraid of what I see, and I couldn't understand it or make sense of what we were watching. And that year my dad won the captain's prize in golf, and I think he won 800 or 1,800 pounds on a bet on himself, and he won the captain's prize, but he gave every penny of it away to Live Aid. I suppose that had a massive ignition moment or impact moment or influence moment on me. And fast forward 30 years later, I was kind of like, well, I'd love to go and see what this is all about. And I have a skill as in physiotherapy, and a random chance came up to go to an Irish nun in Zambia who ran a home for disabled children who was stuck for physio.
Okay.
And really wanted physio, and here was my chance. So I went in January of 2005 and took a career break from Merlin Park. And
so you had no income now, had you?
No, I took a career break. Yeah, when you take a career break, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So I went there for 3 months and volunteered for 3 months. Well, my job was there when I came back. So I came back in March and started again in the hospital. And but I was blown away by a totally life-changing experience.
Like, what was the big, because it obviously that was the start of having a big impact on the work you're doing now. But can you remember the actual moment when you're over there where you knew something kind of had an effect on you, that, you know, you wanted to make a change of direction in your life?
I suppose it all happened very organically. That was a cumulative effect of a lot of experiences over there. Like the first day, like Sister Kathy was amazing, as in she was a middle-aged woman in her 70s, dragging a community by her hands. She was building houses, she was sinking wells, she was feeding 800 families. She ran a home for disabled children with 78 children in her care at any given time, providing them surgeries, getting them into schools, educating them, building them houses. And she's a force of nature. And I said, my God, nobody knows this lady's story.
Yeah.
And there's hundreds of her all over the place. And this other nun ran a home for disabled children, or ran an orphanage with 200 kids, and we started off with a school with her under a tree, and now we've 2,500 children going to school there, primary and secondary school. So, and she had a farm, and she 1,000 hectares, and she's trying to give these 200 kids a plot and build them houses and grow food for them and give them a little business, a small subsistence farm, and just phenomenal individuals. And I'm going, I was saying to myself, geez, these women are in their 70s and 80s. Look what they're doing. What the hell am I at?
Yeah.
And I have a bit of a profile, small bit of a profile back home. Look at the impact they're making. What am I at? So it was probably their example, and the experiencing what they could do and what's possible with a bit of drive and with a bit of energy and a bit of belief and a bit of just, excuse the language, balls, I suppose, in terms of going for it. And then I suppose the people were amazing, and that they were so friendly and so welcoming, and I got really close to the kids that I treated and worked with. And when I was leaving, they were bawling, so I was bawling as well. And I remember Sister Kathy wrote me a thank you, because I brought 20 grand with me as well to give to redo the physio unit, but that soon went by the wayside because there was a famine there when I got there, and there was 800 families starving. So I gave that money into the food program, where through Kathy, every month we bought 800 bags of milled maize and get at 3 different locations under trees, give out 800 bags of food to 800 families. And that was to do them maybe a meal every second day, and the last week they go hungry. So I remember, so that kind of stuff. And I remember going to the hospital one day, and the morgue the electricity had shut and the generator was broken, and the smell in the morgue, and maybe the hospital windows are broken. There's rats running in and around the place, around the patients. And, another day we had to go down to the village and visit one of the workers that were working in the home for disabled children. Her sister was suffering at end-stage HIV/AIDS, so she came for us to go down and bring her to the hospital. But when we got down there, she was dead. So you had to wrap her in cloths and blankets and lift her into the back of the pickup, and you were the hearse as well, so you brought her to the hospital. So that kind of doesn't leave you. Wow. So when you're watching television, you can turn it off, have your coffee, watch the Champions League, or watch Love Island, or whatever you watch, and you forget about it. But those smells and the reality of it doesn't leave you in terms of how it impacts you. But they were amazing. They were huge inspirational people. They were so happy with what they have. They sang and danced through life, and they taught me a lot more than anybody else about life. And they have no fear what people think of them. I was given a course today for a company on communications, and we're saying people's number one fear is public speaking. And why is that? And they answered, was probably fear what people think of you, fear of making a mistake. I said, I heard a great line about that. It's the, fear of what people think of you is the biggest prison in the world, because most people are imprisoned by that fear. And it stops them doing so many things because they're afraid of what people think of them.
Yeah.
So they don't have that.
That's great, because it's a huge issue now for the young people today, especially with social media. Yeah.
And often we bring the players over and Plant the Planet games. You know, they go in, they're all tensed up, and the Africans dance and sing to them. And by the end of the week, they're singing, and they don't care how they look to their peers.
Yeah.
And it's a real life lesson to them during that week for the intercounty players that come and Plant the Planet. That, you know, who cares what people think? Just do it. Go and enjoy yourself. Have fun. Have a bit of a laugh. Try it. If you fail, you fail. And I think it's so I learned that from them, and I learned, you know, if you sing and dance through life, you get through a lot of your problems, and that mindset helped me through with Ruma when he was sick as well. You know, you've got to try and sing and dance through it, and yes, it's tough, but you have a better chance of getting through it if you can do that. That's the kind of advice you try and give people who are doing the leaving cert as well. You have to do it. So you might as well try and enjoy it.
True.
And you'll probably do a lot better when you do. But yeah, no, sorry. When Sister Kathy gave me a card to go home,
the thank you card.
I'll never forget it. I still have it. So she says, a real friend walks in when the whole world walks out.
Wow.
And I suppose that was the moment I knew that I probably would have to stay in touch and help her, not thinking it was a charity. And when she gave me that card, it's quite emotional. So I said, I'd love to stay in touch. How can I help? She said, I'd love $5,000 for a borehole. I can't keep feeding these people. We can't keep feeding them. We don't have the money. You know, money's gone. But if I can sink them wells and get them a water supply, I'll bring in the Department of Agriculture. We'll get them oxen and ploughs. We'll get them seeds, and we'll teach them how to grow their own stuff. So I went home, put the pictures into a brochure, sent them out to all the businesses. It was 2005, so it was a Celtic Tiger. So people were throwing money at you. The builders were throwing $5,000, you know. And $5,000 became $50,000, became $500,000. You know, we got People of the Year awards, got recognition, TV3 did a documentary. So it just organically spiraled out of control. That in 2008 I could get to put a legitimate organisation around it for transparency with a board of directors and proper governance. And it had no intention of setting it up. It just happened. So I remember sitting in DHKN's office there. With the board. I was Punches back then, and there was a good gang of them in there, and they set it up for me and managed it and audited it. And I remember I was kind of like signing my life with. If I sign this now, I'm all in. So I remember Liam Blue was a great fellow. Was on the board with us. He was with me. Great guy. And Brendan Day, great people on the board. Mark Gantley and Brendan Day, and great people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Type of great people. I didn't have any skill set in this area, so I just found myself with really good people who could guide me through it. Sean Silk, there was John Fallon, there was a number of
great people there.
Great people on the board. When I look back on it now, Brendan Day was brilliant as well. Dick O'Donovan from Feroga, you know, Hughie Haskin. We had loads of great guys on the board that did guided me and directed me. Jackie Scully, Ronan Scully's wife, when she was Bank of Ireland, she was the chair for a number of years. Amazing woman as well. And you know, Ronan does great work.
He does, yeah. He's a
great guy. So we great people that had the skills and expertise to navigate me through that kind of uncertain period where, you know, then the financial crash came the minute a month later after we.
All right.
So we had to navigate all that. So it was.
Because I wonder, as a charity, how does it go from having money literally thrown at you? And I've discussed this before on the podcast. For people who didn't live through the Celtic Tiger, it was the most insane period ever. Where it was like money was shooting out of ATMs. We were flush with money. We didn't know what to do with it. It was to suddenly no one had any money. So many were in debt. So as a charity, then how do you adapt to that? I mean, you're sending money to Africa, and then suddenly those people who were giving you money they've no money themselves now.
Yeah, and that was true because back then it became very difficult because most people weren't in position to give. Because of their own financial situation. And then the people who were, or the corporates or the foundations, had to flip and focus totally on Ireland because all the charities in Ireland were decimated as well from the budgets from the government. So then the natural inclination for everyone is to support local first. And that's only normal and natural. So we had to kind of do a strategic review where we had to look at how we're going to get money here and how we're going to support the people we work with. You had to become very creative, and you had to go overseas and travel a good bit and work 10 times harder for 10 times less. But I always have a statement: is he who has a why can overcome any how. If your why is big enough, you'll find a way. That was Viktor Frankl's quote. He was a big enough why will overcome anyhow. We also looked at why do people give? And people will give when they have an emotional connection to a cause. So I will naturally give to Tempestry because I have a huge emotional connection to that.
Yeah.
Also will give to the hospice because they have relatives who were brilliantly looked after there. Others will give to autism or mental health charities because they've been directly impacted. So how do we connect people to the people we were working with? So that's where I came up with the Discovery program and also most charities at the time, you might give them 10 grand, but you might give them back only maybe a thank you letter.
Yeah.
But we started to try and sell experiences that would benefit the company, create a win-win situation. So I went to companies and said, if you give me 10 grand or 5 grand, I will bring your top talent and we'll bring them to Africa and we'll give them the learnings I got over there, but we'll also bring top coaches with us and coach them in leadership and development in that environment. And you'll get a brilliant person back. And all the money, the majority, except all the money will go to the cause. So we got loads of companies involved that way. And then some of those leaders came and they saw what we're doing and they became inspired by it and they had an emotional connection to it. So then they stayed involved a lot longer and did great things and opened many doors to many other organizations. So, I'm a big believer in giving people experience as well.
Yeah.
And creating a win-win. If they give you something, they should, in some way have some reciprocation.
Yeah. 100%.
So that worked very well. I suppose that's how I got into the work I'm in now in terms of leadership and development, because then I trained up to deliver some of the workshops to save costs. So all the money, where possible, could go to the direct cause and the people we met.
Brilliant.
So that was that's one of how we had to pivot.
So how many charities are you involved in now?
Mainly South of Africa. So I've set up Warriors for Humanity which is more an entity, not a charity. And Warriors for Humanity are more a platform. And we're looking at where we go with that at the moment in terms of what direction we take it. But at the moment, it's just probably a brand that comes, as I said, I'm a big believer. Most people want to make a difference and most people want to leave a positive legacy, but they don't know how to. So we're all about creating experiences or a platform that allows people to make that difference. So Plant the Planet Games is that, where we created Plant the Planet Games. We've brought 120 players over the last 3 years to Kenya. They've all raised 10 grand. We've raised 1.3 million and we've planted 3 million trees for the environment. But more importantly, all those trees represent a livelihood because the people or the schools or the communities who get the trees are trained to live off them. Their food crops or their cash crops.
Okay.
Or their shelter belts or their rehabilitation of degraded soil, reforestation. So there's multiple benefits to these trees. And by training and developing them and they own them, then they're far right to look after them as well.
Yeah.
So it's been a huge success story. But 120 of those players would never have raised 10 grand or would never gone to Africa and would never have made that collective impact, massive collective legacy where hundreds of thousands of people will live off those trees long after we're gone. Unless you created for them.
Yeah. Same
with Barna Furbeck and maybe doing the iconic Camino. We've created this iconic Camino for the 4 clubs to come on board and recruit loads of walkers.
So this is the big thing to actually get 4 codes together.
It's amazing. In fairness, they're amazing area because you wouldn't get that in a lot of areas.
No.
It's very unique.
So you got football?
So you have the Barna Furbeck Football Club. You have Cumann and Monaghan Barna Furbeck Hurling Club. You have Barna Furbeck United. And you have Loch Lurgan Athletics Club.
So football, hurling, soccer and athletics
all together. And they're united. And they have a shared community grounds called Cushion the Porca, chairman Garry Talks. And in fairness, I met Jerry and, often Jerry has the banter with you.
Yeah.
So he's challenging me and he calls me Kearney. He said, you're doing a lot of great stuff for overseas. What are you going to do locally? So that was hence the challenge. So I presented him with this opportunity and in fairness, he took it. And he has brought the community with him. He's a very well respected Galwegian.
Yeah.
And the clubs just jumped on it. We created this really special experience where they'll go on a walk from Lochina Lodge to Leenane. We'll have really music and dance and speakers and experiences along the way. And we'll have a celebration at the end. And we're going to create a real community day. And it's a chance for people now to step up and make a difference. And they'll have a great day out. And for people diaspora to reconnect with the local communities, family and friends to come back home, and everyone is asked to raise a minimum of €500, and all the money then goes to the playing facilities and for the future generations. So, you know.
So the plan is to raise $250,000, I believe.
Oh, it's ambitious from Jerry. Yeah. I'm not putting that out there, but he is. The plan is to raise a good bit of money, yeah.
Okay.
So
to have these playing fields,
facilities, to expand the playing facilities and to support the clubs in the brilliant work that they do.
Yeah.
But again, you're creating a platform to make it easy for people to do.
Yeah.
And that's the whole.
But this is people, again, coming to the table, helping out something for, you know, their current community, but also future the generations come. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And we'll have a great day. And there have already a lot of walkers on board. They've already a good sum of money raised, and it'll be very successful. And also,
this is going
building relations.
This is next month in October,
October 18th. But more importantly, it's bringing the community together and really,
because that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist. It's bringing the different clubs together and solidifying and building and developing new relationships. And from that, a lot more will happen. You know, I think from this event, it's not just a financial success, it's the community camaraderie success. It's that community network, that informal social network that's so important for people now. And, you know, who knows what opportunities will arise for people from it. And,
absolutely.
And other supports will come from it as well.
But even a simple little thing is, I remember just after COVID, there was a barbecue in our estate. And I actually got to finally know my neighbours from over 10 or 12 years. You know, one of them I was speaking to yesterday evening, Ger, but just that one evening that we had, the beautiful ripple effect it has had around our estate in Knocknacarra. And sadly, you know, as great a community Knocknacarra is, it's not known for being a great community because everyone is so busy and going the different ways and so on. But it was a magic moment because it cemented so many relationships from that. And often, I suppose, we complain that we don't have this in our area or that, where if we can just get everyone together, you know, it's happening in Barna and Furbo, but there's towns all over the country. If you can get a leader to just bring people together for their community, the impact that they can have.
Yeah. And it comes down to people again. It takes great leaders. And fairness to Jerry, and then in fairness to the chair people and the executive of the different clubs, they all come aboard, and it just shows what you can do when you have different. Like I know clubs that would never fundraise with soccer or football or athletics. They just wouldn't do it. They'll be a great example to other communities what's possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. Finally, Alan,
yes, w
what's the big plan for yourself? Where do you want to take the next stage of your life?
Yeah, I love creating experiences for people. I'm supposed to continue doing that, and I love creating opportunities for people to leave an impact and make a difference while also having a good experience. I suppose in Warriors for Humanity, I'd love to take that global, where you have a global platform for people to. I suppose the world is so challenging at the moment and so chaotic and so divisive. You'd like to create Warriors for Humanity, I suppose, as a human army for good, where you allow people to come together rather than being pushed apart by current leaderships and, you know, divisive rhetoric going on all over the place from our leaders, the dirt of leadership out there.
Yeah.
And I think humanity is in a tough place. You know, even in Ireland, you see, like, we're all the same, so I don't understand why we can't all get along at times. And I suppose create platforms to allow that to happen. No more than like in Barna and Furbica or the Plant the Planet Games, where you're bringing two totally different people from two different countries, planting together and playing music together and playing sport together, and magic happens.
Yeah.
So when you connect people on a human level, magic happens. And I suppose it's to create a lot more of those type of opportunities. I have 4 or 5 massive global projects that I'd love to get off the ground as well. And I suppose then I need to, look after the training side and development side of things as well. So there's
at least you're ambitious.
Yeah, there's still a lot to be done, and there's still a lot I'd love to achieve, I suppose. But you can do it when you get the right people around you.
Well, continued success.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks for
you enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you.
This is a GK Media podcast.